TPE Network. Fun yet informative podcasts.
Hello and welcome to the Mandalorian Fan Podcast. I'm Hank.
And I'm Alex.
And this is episode 25. We are covering The Bad Batch, episode 3, season 1, Replacements. Oh my goodness. Well, let's get right into it. Rations are getting low on the spaceship, and we're meant to believe that the quarters are tight, even though basically they were down one and they gained, they balanced it out because they're down Crosshair, but they got one. So I don't know how that works out, but whatever. And Tech is making a scanner while the ship is about to crash land. And it was kind of funny how nonchalant Tech was in this episode. I kind of liked that. Did you?
Yeah, it was kind of like even the rest of the Bad Batch, especially this particular scene, because they're, it's like, oh, prepare for a crash landing, and other than Wrecker, it's like they were like, this is just everyday stuff for us.
It might be, which is kind of frightening. And I love how Wrecker had that negative attitude until he noticed Omega was watching him, and then he was like, yeah, we're gonna be fine. That was great. I love that.
Nothing to worry about.
Nothing to see here. I like when Omega pulls out Crosshair's weapons locker, and she's like, is this it, what they were looking for? And they're like, no, that's his, it's his stash for his weapons and such. And it kind of started a debate. Do you get the sense that Crosshair could get redeemed, or are you getting more and more the sense that he's just gone?
Oh no, I thought definitely when they did all that stuff to Crosshair in the previous episode, or probably was the first episode rather, I knew for a fact that somewhere down the line they're going to try to redeem him and to bring him back. That was, in my mind, that was just a no-brainer.
Okay, that's fair. So now we have CT-9904. That's Crosshair's new designation, as it were. And then we have Tarkin and the Admiral, I guess, had some procedure done to him, maybe to boost the chip inside of him so he's more compliant, even though he was pretty loyal to begin with, it seemed like. And
yeah.
Now we have that Project War Mantle being on schedule. So did you take away that the Admiral's theory is maybe we can have a really enhanced clone leading an elite group of non-clone soldiers?
So as we all know, the Empire is trying to kind of do away with the clones and try to get its if you're a fan of Star Wars, everybody knows where this is leading to. This is leading to the creation of the stormtroopers that we all know and love in the original trilogy. And if you caught it, they were kind of making fun of how they don't hit anything when they shoot. So it was just a subtle thing, but it's like, I
do love it.
But I thought, we were at the beginning stages of that, and I really love this. And yeah, this is it's again, being a lifelong Star Wars fan, this is kind of this is really interesting because excuse me, all we're told is that the stormtroopers were human and they weren't clones, and that's all we're really saying. It's like, so how did they get from being the clone troopers to the stormtroopers? So this is what Bad Batch is that transition telling us what's going on.
I like that. So Crosshair, he'll be over this new little group of this first elite non-clone squad that we've seen and got to meet, and they were kind of jerky. But Echo and Tech, they're working on the ship. When Echo hears something and then goes to investigate, and I love how when he comes back and gets Tech, and Tech's like, those marks weren't on the ship before. They have to make sure we know that these are fresh, like claw marks on the ship.
Oh, must be Minox. So yeah, that whole scene was very Empire Strikes Back-ish when the Falcon was trying to get the Minox off the ship, and that's what this whole thing. They're on this moon, right? So they're all, so that's and so they're trying to investigate, see what the heck's going on, and then they're going around, and then all of a sudden you see what appears to be these eggs. And so then all of a sudden I'm like, we're crossing streams here. Could these be xenomorphs? and I thought that was really cool.
We did that on The Mandalorian, sort of.
Yeah.
Little spiders.
Yeah.
Just
okay,
then...
so all right. So going back to that. To that Mandalorian episode, I got, I was like, it's those stupid spiders again. I kind of thought that too. I'm like, pleasantly surprised that it was not.
Thank goodness.
Yay.
So the creature took the capacitor, and we find out it's an Ordo moon dragon. Say that 5 times as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And Wrecker, he really hurt his head there. And what's bothering me is the positioning in which he's rubbing is where that inhibitor chip would be. Yeah. Wouldn't you say? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm kind of wondering if this is foreshadowing into a further episode in which maybe possibly the inhibitor finally kicks in to Wrecker, and then he all of a sudden is slightly different.
By the time he gets it, it'll be Order 67. Oh my goodness! But I was really surprised that Hunter let Omega go with him. That was a dangerous spot.
Yeah, and not only that, but I think that Omega is kind of feeling like she is she is the replacement for
Crosshair.
And so she feels kind of obligated. Maybe I need to learn how to be a marksman like that.
You're right. Well, she did pretty good in that one episode. She shot the gun out of his hand.
Yeah.
Some of the elite soldiers are talking, and they gave me the sense that they're going to have their own mind, as we see later on in the episode. Like, they're just spitballing stuff, and that's that human element that I think the Empire doesn't want, even though it's cheap. It's not always effective as a leader for their stuff. So right. I think that's. Go ahead.
So these elite troopers, that the non-clone troopers, I guess we'd call them the stormtrooper prototypes, I guess we could call them. It seemed like they didn't want to follow orders, and they just wanted, they're mercenaries. And one of the stories was we were fighting for the Republic, and we were kind of set aside for the clone troopers. So there's that kind of a prejudice there with those guys. And so with the one character saying, we're not going to follow those orders. But I thought Crosshair did a really good thing, and kind of set an example. Well, if you're not going to follow orders, this is what's going to happen.
We'll get to that in just a second.
Yeah.
But Sharkin always wants to see everything in action. That is always his MO is, let's see him in battle. Let's see this in action. Only way to find out if this weapon works is to use it on people, So he's like, let's send them to Onderon and wipe out Saw Gerrera and his ragtag group there. That'll prove if they're effective or not. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Now we find out that each of the Bad Batch have an enhanced skill I don't follow the Bad Batch, so wasn't aware of that. But it was cool that they filled this in. And did you get the sense that Omega can just pick up a skill easier than most other clones would be able to?
So I'm going to kind of call her the Ultra Boy of the Bad Batch, and so what that's a reference to is there's a character in the Legion of Superheroes called Ultra Boy, and so his power was he could only use. He kind of had like the powers of Superman, where he had the super strength, the flight, and some of the other things, but unlike Superman, he was only allowed to use one power at a time. He couldn't use two powers at the same time. And that's what, this kind of reminds me with Omega. Maybe she's able to use these powers, but maybe it's not, maybe these skills she can just do one at a time. She can't do them all combined concurrently. Yeah.
Interesting. I like that. An elite soldier and Crosshair, they spar while Guerrera's little ragtag group knows that they're under attack. And we could just go right through that arc right there. One of the elite troopers, the one that was mouthing off in the plane, conveniently enough, is the one that's like, no, we're not following that order. We're going to just take them as hostages. And Crosshair is like, that's not the mission, man. And he was just cold-blooded murdering people. And he also murders the mutiny elite soldier as well. Which I was like, yikes.
And that's what, I know the stormtroopers, they're kind of, modeled after, the Nazi regime from World War II. And that's kind of what they did as well. And so we have Crosshair, right? So Crosshair is more like black and white. You either do it or pay the price. And then you have these prototype stormtroopers that are like, nah, that's not quite right. So they're kind of more, gray area thinking.
They still have the human element to them.
Yeah.
Which is,
and it seems like later on, as we're going to find out in the original trilogy, that's kind of gone with the stormtroopers. They just follow orders and
blindly do whatever.
Yeah.
Hunter and Omega, they find the capacitor, but Hunter gets wrecked by that little monster and loses that oxygen mask, which is enough to take him down for a while till Omega can get it back on him, and leave him there, takes his blaster and heads off, tracking much in the same manner that he was tracking. So when she finds that capacitor, that moon dragon is there too. What was the deal with that situation? Was it that the moon dragon didn't want to kill her, or did she have some kind of connection to it, or what did you think?
Well, the dragon seemed like it fed off of the energy in those capacitors, and so there's that was kind of a neat interaction, because I think she turned the flashlight on or something, and the thing freaked out, and then she turned it off, and then all of a sudden it got really calm, and it's almost like there was, she was using one of her skills as a dragon tamer. I don't know.
That's what I was like wondering. I was like, does she have something inherent in her where animals are like, okay, you're our friend or whatever, we'll follow you or whatever. But her having to throw the flashlight would lead me to believe that no, that moon dragon's just easily distracted.
Well, Omega is a star child, so you can never tell.
You can do whatever you want when you're a star child. All right, so Tarkin and the Admiral, they meet Crosshair and the group at the landing bay or whatever, and the Admiral is going to be able to keep going with that project because Tarkin's impressed that it's successful. And I think Crosshair is his type of whatever, clone, whatever it is, soldier, I'll just say.
Right.
Because he loves that he just gets stuff done, even though that was pretty despicable.
So I wonder what's going to happen though when, we come to that episode, whether it be the last episode of the season or we're halfway through and they do like a halfway through finale in which, he Crosshair sees the errors of his ways and somehow they, either disengage the inhibitor or take it out or something.
Okay.
So that's where we're heading.
And they keep mentioning like it's not his fault. It's not his fault. It's the chip. It's the chip. So I'm like, they're kind of foreshadowing it, but I don't know. If nothing more, maybe he'll just sacrifice himself or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think anybody who's familiar with Dave Filoni's Clone Wars or Rebels or Resistance, for that matter, this is a typical Dave Filoni written, produced thing that he does.
Okay. He's got the same type of trope that he follows.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what makes him, successful. And he's
good.
He's still at the franchise today. So
he is good. Now on Kamino, the prime minister wants a superior clone, and they were making all that talk about the clones are their property, etc., etc., etc. All they need is one. And I was like, well, you already have Crosshair, so that can't be talking about the Bad Batch. I think they're talking about Omega. Do you?
I kind of got the impression they were talking about how the Jango Fett clone is, they've used it so much it's starting to degenerate, so they need to use another type of model for a clone. And I was thinking they're going to go with something entirely different than Omega's a clone, so she couldn't be she'd be a copy of a copy of a copy if they decide to go with her. So I think they're looking for something original.
Oh, okay. Because I guess I'm not saying I'm correct or anything. I was just saying I feel like they were kind of foreshadowing that there's something different about her cloning process or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
could be wrong.
I don't know. That's pretty plausible too.
Like a force sensitive clone or something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
And that's kind of what, people are speculating right now, whether or Omega is force sensitive. That's been a lot of discussion on the interweb these days.
Okay.
In regards to Bad Batch.
Yeah, because I would point out when she was close to Crosshair and she kept telling him it's not his fault and stuff. It was like she was reading his thoughts or something. Right. So it was strange that she's that intuitive at that age.
Right. So there's something going on. So it very well be that she could be force sensitive. And
that'd be cool.
Being in the Star Wars universe like we are, that would be really cool.
Towards the end here, when Crosshair goes into the quarters, did you get the sense that he was missing the team? Like there was some weird thought or feeling he was having?
So Crosshair was looking around, and he kind of had that forlorn look about him, like, oh, I miss my buddies.
Yep.
And again, this is foreshadowing. They're going to try to bring him back. So
okay.
Again,
I can't wait.
I think we're going to have a few episodes before we get to that point, but
okay.
I'm not like the previous Clone Wars seasons. They would go for so many weeks, and then they would have a brief little hiatus, then come back and finish the season up. I think that Bad Batch, I think they're just going to go. I don't think they're going to have a hiatus or anything. They think they're just going to
go straight through,
run it. Yeah.
Okay. It's fun so far. Right at the very end, we had Wrecker showing Omega her own room. Oh, I did say oh when I saw that. I was like, oh, she got her own little room.
And you saw the smile on her face. Oh, I'm really one of them after all. Just give her crosshairs area. Oh my goodness. That's bothering me now because you said that. I'm like, wouldn't she get crosshairs? Wouldn't he have his own area?
Right. I don't know. Maybe it's just to drive the story somehow or something. But
plot hole?
if she starts wearing his weaponry, then I will be like, okay, this is ridiculous. Gun is bigger than
that's right. And that's kind of what I thought, because I think they had some crosshairs pistols there or something, and she was kind of eyeing them, and like, and that's where I was thinking, well, maybe she feels like she has to be, crosshairs replacement.
Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
All right, Omega. As she talks to herself, all right, Omega, you can do this. You're like, why are you talking to yourself in the third person? Oh, that's great. Alex, where do you land on this episode?
Oh, I think that this is definitely a proficient 8 out of 10. Nothing really revealing about this episode. We're just kind of moving slowly forward. So I thought it was good. It wasn't terrible. And again, we're in the Star Wars universe, so I'm happy as I'll get out.
Yep. I'm in total lockstep with you. It was an 8 out of 10. It was a fun episode, and they kind of shed some light on some stuff, kind of give us a little direction on where they're going, but nothing really groundbreaking transpired on this episode. They just kind of feeding us a little morsels here and there. Kind of fun, though. So 8 out of 10 for me. Anything before we wrap her on up?
I was reading about the episode and how, like the previous episodes, they refer to Tarkin as Admiral Tarkin, but yet they were looking at his like insignia that he had, and they said that's the exact same insignia that he had when he was on the Death Star in the first Star Wars film. Notice I'm not calling it A New Hope. I refuse to call it A New Hope. Anyway, I'll get out of my old geezer mode now. So yeah, get off my lawn, you damn kids. So anyway, and people were noticing that. So that's the same rank he had 20 years ago or 20 years later. And so again, Dave Filoni loves details. And so if you're paying close attention, Tark in this episode was referred to as governor. And so they said that this is the insignia of, the governors or the grand moffs of the area. And so the admiral referred to Tarkin as governor. So it wasn't really said specifically, but he is the governor of that sector, I guess we call it.
Okay. It makes more sense then why he would be down there doing, dealing with the prime minister and such. So because before I was like, what is he doing here? Like, why is he here? How long is he staying in this area? I was just kind of perplexed, but that is awesome. That really sheds light on the situation for me.
And I think a lot of us are wondering too, how long before we get Vader in here? Because we know that, Tarkin loves to use Vader, and that would be, again, this is like those early days. So they're going to have to use Vader sooner or later.
Oh my gosh, this be outstanding. I can't wait. Oh man, they have really reignited Star Wars with Disney Plus.
Yeah. And a lot of people were, asking too, well, how soon before Tarkin starts hunting vampires? So, or even creating creatures from dead parts. So. Oh, sorry, those are other Peter. Those are other Cushing characters. Sorry.
That's outstanding. Oh, I wonder if anybody listening is old enough to know some of those.
Oh, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Just us.
Sorry, guys. I apologize.
We will rewind that.
I've been told to start changing my dad jokes up. So
never change. my friend. Never change. Well, I think that's going to do it. This has been a lot of fun.
Right.
I love watching this series. Love it. So we will be back next week with another edition of the Mandalorian Fan Podcast covering The Bad Batch, episode 4. Ooh. Cannot wait. For Alex, I'm Hank. Until the next time, we're signing off.
See ya.
TPE Network. There ain't nothing else like it.